Hi, this is Celeste Taylor, and you found yourself in the Gay Teachers Lounge. Whether you're cleaning out your car, making an Arnold Palmer, or rearranging your sock drawer, I'm so happy you're here, and I hope you get a few takeaways. Ring, ring, class is out. So grab your favorite beverage and get comfy with us because you belong in the lounge. Imagine you're in a choir classroom. Sheet music is passed out, parts are assigned. But what happens when the way we organize voices doesn't match the student standing in front of us? Today's guest is a music educator in their fourth year in the classroom, working inside that exact tension, where tradition meets the realities of today, and where small everyday choices carry more weight than people realize. They teach music, choir, voice, and musical theater. And along the way, they've started to notice just how deeply gender is embedded in the structure of music education. From the way parts are labeled, to the stories being told on stage, to the expectations placed on students before they even open their mouths to sing. And as someone who uses he, they pronouns, they're navigating all of this in real time, creating an inclusive classroom, protecting their own safety, and pushing against a system historically shaped by a narrow set of voices. So, what happens when you refuse to just go along with it? When you start questioning the labels, rewriting the music, and making space where there wasn't any before? And what does it cost to do that, personally and professionally? This is a conversation about teaching in the gray area, holding space for students who don't see themselves reflected while working within structures that haven't kept up. Welcome to the Gay Teachers Lounge, AJ.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
and you are my first Californian,
Which is crazy, which
which
I'm
is
so honored to be.
Which is crazy because I'm in California and I've not interviewed a teacher from California yet. So,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you.
Your questionnaire answers were kind of this aha moment for me because I'd never stopped and thought about how gendered music education is. And I'm not that educated in music. I'm not a musician. So I never even would have stopped to think about it, and especially musicals and theater in itself. I'm just so glad to have you on so that you can enlighten us and really shine light on, yeah, how gendered it is.
Yeah, I have really discovered this in so many like different pockets of my teaching career thus far. Like it hasn't been like a one aha moment. It's been like a, oh, I notice it here. And oh my God, now I notice it here. And oh my God, now I notice it here. And now it's over here, but it's like in a different format. Like it's been super surreal for me seeing this gendered language sort of pop up all over the place in music as I'm sort of discovering and experimenting with like my own gender identity at the same time is like really an interesting experience. And yeah, it just has kind of popped up all over the place. So I was really excited to answer the questionnaire questions and sort of like word vomit all over
Yeah.
it because there was just so much that I wanted to talk about and I just feel like there is not enough time. So I'm just excited to dive in. So I graduated, oh God, 5 years ago, student taught 5 years ago, and then started teaching my very first classroom in 2023. I was a middle school director for choir and musical theater, and I was there for 2 years. Happy to get into the story of why I left later if you want to, but that's not the primary reason for this conversation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided to leave. I decided this just wasn't for me, and I had made all of these connections through my middle school teaching job of my high school that my students fed into, and
Mm-hmm.
also like the sister middle school in that district. And those two teachers just became very, very important to me. They sort of led me and became like mentors to me, and I'm super super thankful to them. I'm still working with them to this day, and
Mm.
that's sort of kind of what I'm doing now. So I'm still teaching, but I'm not the choir director or the director of anything really. I'm kind of a voice coach
Okay.
and whatever else they like need me to be.
That sounds like a really nice gig.
It it has its ups and downs, right? So
Okay.
because I'm doing more of this stuff now, I don't do grading, I don't do all of the like administrative stuff that like a normal teacher would, but
Right.
I'm also getting paid a lot less, but that's
Mm.
also giving me the freedom to do other things. Like I do singing gigs and stuff like that on the side, and I perform with like a professional choir, and I do my own musical theater shows and stuff like that. So that this position really gives me the freedom to do that.
Nice. I thought I saw something, maybe it was on your Instagram, where I saw a picture of you talking about a show you were in, and I was wondering, how are they doing a show? If they're a teacher, I would think that you're bloody exhausted all the time, but now it makes sense. Now it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So I tried the whole performing while teaching thing my second year at the middle school, and I
Yeah.
did a production of Into the Woods,
Mm-hmm.
and I was exhausted.
I bet.
It was so hard, but just like found so much fulfillment in it. That was like one of the reasons that I ended up leaving, amongst many, many other reasons. But it was like, man, I just miss performing too much. You know, like
Yeah, I
it's a
bet.
part of my soul.
I bet. Yeah, because if you're the teacher, you're not performing.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
have a big passion for, especially as an arts teacher, like doing the thing that you're teaching your students how to do. Like
Yeah.
there are so many choir or drama teachers that get into the teaching field and then don't do any performing for like 20 years because they're in the classroom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sincerely bothers me when a choir teacher can't even sing in tune for their choir because they haven't practiced on their own instrument in a long time,
Oh, makes sense.
you
Wow.
know?
And even art teachers, and the art teachers I've interviewed and talked with, they still make art, which is so nice. But I was thinking about that too, just being exhausted at the end of the day and then just letting your own art fall by the wayside, and
Yeah.
just burnt out. I am curious because you shifted out of your role as an educator fairly quickly, making that decision after your first couple of years teaching. And I'm wondering what factors played into making that decision so quickly. And I'm wondering, I know you mentioned on your questionnaire that you'd experienced students saying homophobic slurs to you, as well as experiencing microaggressions during your time in the classroom. And so I'm wondering if you want to speak to that and share about any of that and what exactly prompted you to shift from that classroom role.
100%. So as I said before, just very quickly, the one of the reasons was that I just felt like I was denying myself the opportunity to be a performer and to be an artist. I was like showing up and teaching this job that really should have been two jobs in one. Like I was the director of two different departments. I had
Hmm.
my choirs, I had three choir classes,
Mm.
and there were different levels, right? So I had an all sixth grade group, I had an intermediate seventh and eighth, and I had an advanced seventh and eighth choir.
Mm.
And then I had a general music class, and that shifted every quarter. So I got new kids every single quarter, and it was
Oh,
just like
wow.
play music games. It actually was a really good recruiting tool for me because I got kids interested in me as a teacher and interested in like what music is and stuff like that, and that's how I got them hooked. So I actually really enjoyed teaching that class.
Mm.
And then I had a musical theater class. But the musical theater class was each semester it shifted students. So I
Okay.
would also be responsible for putting on the musical at our school, which was
Mm.
a year-long process. Like I would have
Wow.
auditions in October and we would perform it in late March, early April kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even use those musical theater kids because they would shift after the semester. So they were kind of like a catch all, any student who just didn't have a place to go kind of went there class.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, which
Yep.
some of my best kids have come out of that class. I'm not trying to get down on them. A lot of them were like amazing. Just the vibe was, what are we doing here?
Yeah, okay. Makes
You
sense.
know?
Yeah.
So that goes into another reason that I left was like it was just so
Mm.
much. I was
Mm.
directing these two huge programs all by myself. So I was working all the time
Yeah.
and would work a full day and then would have rehearsal after school for choir or the musical or whatever, and then would go home, get takeout, and fall asleep on the couch and
Yep.
wake up and do it all over again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Exhausting. Yes, I do know what you mean.
Yeah, so like it
Yeah.
was just so much, and I felt like I wasn't doing anything for myself. I wasn't working out anymore. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't
Mm.
singing. I wasn't doing anything, you know?
Yikes. Yeah. Yeah.
So I really contemplated leaving after my first year, actually. I was like
Wow.
that close. And I was talking with my grandmother, who, for all intents and purposes, is a mom to me. Like, I love her. And she was the one who convinced me to stay for another year. So I stayed for another
Mm.
year, and I was like, okay, if I'm going to stay, this needs to be like me doing things differently,
Oh,
right?
yes. Yes.
So I tried to revamp the program a little bit and set some boundaries, reschedule things differently, and it worked a lot better. It was
Nice.
significantly better. The workload was still a lot, but I still found it more manageable, and that's how I was able to do like a production of Into the Woods.
Mm.
And although that added a lot to my plate, it was that experience that was kind of like, I need to do more performing. That's very important to me.
Yeah.
The final reason that I felt like I just had to leave was that I felt like my program wasn't being valued. My school that I was at had a ginormous, very, very successful band program.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like no matter what I did, like I was just the forgotten child, and my program just got all of the leftovers.
Oh, I bet.
And that broke my heart. Not for me, even. Like, I didn't really care about my emotions. I cared about, like, my students' emotions and, like, how they even felt it. They felt like they weren't getting the attention that they deserved, even
Mm.
though, like, they worked so, so hard and they were so good.
Mm.
Little side tangent that's like kind of related. In my second year of teaching, I decided to do a TikTok series
Okay.
of me teaching my sixth grade class a Billie Eilish song,
Okay.
and it went incredibly viral. Like the one video of them that went viral got like 12 million views or something
What? Really?
insane. Yeah,
Oh,
something
insane.
insane like that. So it was a super cool experience. So my kids were doing cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they were super jazzed about being in choir and they wanted to be there, and I was excited that they were there, and like I loved showing up to work every day. But it felt like no matter what we did, we just didn't get the support that we needed, you know?
Mm. Not to interrupt, but did they do choral competitions and all of that sort of thing to not match the band's, accolades, but did you do all of that with them or no?
No, my plan was to start doing so. The
Mm-hmm.
program kind of went through some growing pains, like with COVID and everything. And like
Mm.
the teacher before me had like this huge reputation, and she's lovely, and I love her. And like we talk every once in a while, even now. She's super cool. But it just kind of went through some moments of trying to figure itself out, and that was included in me coming into this new role. So they used to compete a lot. Like that was like their go-to thing. So my goal was to revamp it and eventually start doing that again.
Hmm.
It was just hard because again, I felt like I had no support to do
Yeah.
so. I felt like I was manning this ship all by myself, and
Mm.
I felt like my principal didn't have my back. I felt like a lot of the other teachers
Mm.
didn't have my back, and I only had like my two bestie teacher friends on campus, and that was kind of
Mm.
it. And it was us against the world, you know what I mean?
And that's not enough. Yeah, for sure.
No, not at all.
I know.
And
Yeah.
like everywhere I went, I just wanted that, like, come support us. Do you see that they're doing awesome? Like, I know it's not the band program. I know they're not performing like at the state level and like winning all of these awards, but like
Yeah.
they're doing amazing work. And like over the next few years, if you support them, we could do that together, And it
Yeah.
seemed like no one really cared.
Yeah, I get that. Definitely. And as a new teachers, I think, regardless of sexuality, are pretty much ignored for a while. And add on top of that, I don't know, I could get in my head about this, but I would always think it's because I'm queer.
Yeah.
I'm gay and they're treating me this way versus this other new teacher on campus. They're including her and so much more, but I could get in my head about that. But that could be a possibility also. Mm.
Yeah. That was 100% something that went through my mind, at least. there might have been other queer teachers on campus. I was certainly the only person that presented queer out of
Mm-hmm.
the entire campus. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was very obvious that like I was the gay teacher, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Which I didn't have an issue with. I wore that with honor and pride, you know? But
Mm.
it did every once in a while make me question certain interactions that I had with people of like, why are you saying that to me? Why am I getting treated this way and this other person isn't getting treated this way? Is it because I'm new
I
or is
know.
it because I'm the weird queer one? Like which one is it, you know?
I know, and it's like, oh, you want to know. It's probably both. It's probably a little bit of both.
It could be a little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah, that would be my guess, but it does suck, for lack of a better word, when treatment of teachers is so clearly, it's not the same. And as coming from an elementary school background, I am all about fairness because I have been surrounded by 6-year-olds and they are all about fairness.
Yes,
And so it's just, I think, this piece of, well, that's not fair. And it just is hard to reconcile when things aren't fair. I mean, life's not fair, right? But when it's so
100%.
blatantly imbalanced and the band, which I went to a high school where our band was the it thing,
Yeah.
right? At my high school, and totally get it. That's why I asked you about choral competitions because you've got to
Yeah.
bring fire to fire, right?
Yes. 100%.
And it is sad. I mean, principals are always all about accolades and performance and stats, right? And scores and blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but I'm happy to hear that you got yourself out of it because instead of just staying and trying to fight a system that sounds like it probably wouldn't have been very supportive of you for X amount of years at least, right? And then people don't understand how much energy, effort, exhaustion is involved in running a program like yours, especially when you don't have assistance.
Yeah, absolutely. And like as much as I do reflect on that situation now and I go, I probably should have cared about my own feelings a little bit more, like how I do now. In the moment, it honestly just wasn't about me. Like it sincerely just was for my kids, Like I could see that they just wanted to be treated the same and they just weren't. You know what I mean? That
Mm,
really it pained me to see them that way. Which kind of brings me into how I had a lot of queer kids at that
mm,
middle school who sort of confided in me and told me, I use they them pronouns, but like you can't tell anyone. And like if my parents ask, like you can't tell them because like they're gonna kill me.
hmm.
It was really hard to then also, while they're not being supported by the school, have me try to support them emotionally when, to
Right,
be frank, as much as the counselors really tried their best, it wasn't the same as having like a queer person understand another queer person?
right. Yeah.
So it was hard for me. There was this one girl student that I had. She's the one who called me the F-slur.
Oh,
Wasn't to my face. That would have been a wild situation. It was behind my back. And another student who was non binary, they had told me, hey, so and so had said this about you. And it was the first ever time that I had to deal with a situation like that where I was
mm,
like, well, I didn't hear it.
right.
That still doesn't make me feel good. And now, what am I going to do as the probably only queer mentor that this one has in their
Mm,
life? What am I going to show them that that's not okay? Like, how am I going to handle this situation? So I took it to the counselors who, again, tried their best. And I know that they had their best intentions in mind. But the whole situation just felt very like, I don't want to deal with it. This is too much for me. Take it
wow.
away. Take it away. I don't want it. So
Wow.
on paper, yes, they checked every box that like they were supposed to and it got handled. The student I think was suspended,
Wow.
but it just didn't feel like they were supporting me or the student who had told me?
Was there any restorative justice? I mean, did you and that student ever have a conversation?
At the end of our she had to stay in my class, which was
Okay.
very awkward.
Great. Yeah, I know.
Because I
Very,
was
very
basically
awkward.
I was like, I know what you said, and you know that I know what you said. At the end of our winter concert that year, she did give me a handwritten note and said, I sincerely apologize for what I had said about you. It will not happen again. I really appreciate you as a teacher, which did warm my heart a lot.
Mm,
The reason that it's so significant, though, is that took months to happen.
right.
That
Yeah.
wasn't like the day after it happened, I received this apology. That was months after this incident. And finally, I was like, I'm just glad that you learned something, and I'm glad that you are committing yourself to change because these are all 99% of the time probably learned things that they hear at home, which is like really,
100%.
really sad, you know?
Very sad. And there's a part of me that almost thinks receiving that note from her months later was more impactful because I hope that she had been thinking about it all of those months and coming to a
Mm-hmm.
place where she was really authentic in what she said to you in the note versus the very next day someone tells her you'd better apologize or make it right
Yeah.
or whatever and she's like I'm really sorry blah 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 gives you the note. If it
Yes.
had been next day, I don't know. So I'm glad it happened that way. That I mean, I'm sure those months of waiting, just like, was she ever going to say anything, were very frustrating. But it's one of those things too where, and this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I've really been thinking about kids and how, say, for example, what was she like 12 or 13,
12, probably.
seventh
Yeah.
grader? And I have to stop and remind myself she has been alive for 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is
12 years!
insane to think about.
It's
It's
so
insane when you
crazy. It's
when you
so
break it
crazy.
down like that, it's actually kind of insane.
It's so insane. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, and I did a whole video on this about TK's 4 years old. These kids have been alive for 4 years. Yeah. But why are they allowed in school? No, it's just like they have only been alive
Oh,
for 4 years.
I
They need to
know.
be kept in like a cage somewhere at home and worked on for many more years before they are allowed to exit. It's
Yes, not
just
wreaking havoc on us.
but yeah, exactly. But then, I talk with my other gay friends, my other gay teacher friends, and they say, do you want them to be in an enclosed space with their bigoted, sometimes bigoted
Oh,
parents being indoctrinated, right, left and right for
mm-hmm.
X amount more years before being exposed to other? And I'm thinking, you got a point, fine,
Yeah.
uh. And it's so frustrating because when we think about that 12-year-old, her parents are probably 30s, early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
That patterns repeat. The cycle continues.
Yeah.
And we would think people in their 30s and 40s would have been exposed to enough other where they're not so damn bigoted, right? And they don't have that hate and fear in their hearts, but it's so wild to me. I saw a 20-year-old at my line dancing club last night, and it's unfortunately a straight line dancing club that I go to on Tuesdays. Meh. And this kid had to have been, like I just said, 20-year-old kid, had this shirt on. It said, America, Daddy's home, with Trump's
Oh
fucking picture on it.
my
And
God.
And I was like, what is even happening, people? What is even happening?
Oh,
I
that gives
feel like
me.
going around with like, not even like a little like tapper, like a damn baseball bat and going whack, 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 whack,
Yeah.
whack, whack. Let me help wake you up, fool. You know?
That's
And
insane.
yes. And what is also insane is that a 12-year-old would say that about a teacher.
Yeah.
I'm of the mindset you don't talk shit like that kind of shit about your teachers.
No.
No matter how much you don't like them, blah, blah, whatever, blah, blah. You know how kids get feisty. Like,
Yes.
well, I don't like them, homework or whatever, or unfair or blah, blah. You don't go around calling people names. Eek.
No. There was this TikTok that I saw the other day that like the words I forgive me, I don't remember her name, but the words that she said really resonated with me and it totally applied to some of the questions that I was thinking about for this conversation with you. which is that I think most people these days are actually really okay with gay people,
Mm,
but I don't think that they're okay with people being F-slurs, or
mm,
people acting in a way that's not what their gender is,
right.
right? So for me to be a little bit more on the femme side is not okay. But if I was some big macho mask gay dude, like that's
Mm,
totally fine. You know what I mean?
mm, mm-hmm,
Or vice versa, like if a woman is acting in a way that's more masculine, also
mm,
whatever these terms mean, that's a
right.
whole other conversation.
Yep.
But if a woman is acting more masculine, that's not okay. But if she just so happens to be a lesbian but is like super super femme, like that's totally cool, like we can hang around you.
Mm.
Like what is that sort of ideology, right?
It's so true how our society has all of these unspoken rules, because I do agree with you on that. Gay men who are far more feminine, outwardly so, are for sure treated worse than a gay man who you would look at him, you never know he's gay, right?
Yep.
And same with me, and I never take my privilege for granted, because especially when I go into these straight spaces, which I loathe, but unfortunately where I live, it's either go straight line dancing on Tuesdays or have to drive an hour. Do you see what I'm saying? To
Yes.
go, but there's no gay line dancing on Tuesdays anyway. But, it's one of those things where it's always in the back of my head. If I look like a true, or were so mask or so butch, what would my experience in that space be?
Yeah.
And it never escapes me. I mean, I am always thinking about it, especially when men will approach me and talk to me, or women. It's true.
Yeah.
So I completely agree.
And that's a big thing as a teacher that makes me really fearful to express my gender identity more. And I feel that's why I'm a little bit more restricted in like, sure, I use he, they pronouns because for all intents and purposes, I'm aware that people call me a man, like people see me as a man. I even call myself a man or a boy or whatever sometimes, you know what I mean? But like the they is me sort of saying that there's more to me than just being a man. And how do I explain that to my students when they're already trying to grasp the fact that I'm a little bit more effeminate sometimes? It bothers me or scares me to like have that gender conversation with them. Like I have
Mm,
he, they like in my email signature.
okay.
Whenever I send it to a student, I find myself every single time taking my pronouns out of my signature just out of like, I don't want that to be a topic of conversation. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because even though you're not a teacher, technically, you could still be experiencing parent pushback and issues with parents and drama with students, and you're trying to sexualize my child, et cetera, et cetera, et
Yes.
cetera.
And we see that like with the kids that we're trying to protect, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's so many trans kids that I interact with every single day, and the amount of times that I have to remember their dead name and like their parent
Mm,
comes up to me and goes, "Oh, dead name blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Okay, who is that?" "Oh, that's this kid."
mm,
"Yes, I know who you're talking about. That person is over there." You know? Like
yeah.
I feel the hatred. I feel the like you can be gay or whatever, but you just can't be like different acting. Like I see that you're a boy, you need to be a boy, you
Yeah,
know?
that's so hard, because I know where you are in California, the general area is more Trumpy. I'm in a
Mhm.
Trumpy area of California too. Everyone thinks California is this great, blue place. There are so many growing pockets, so
Mhm.
many growing pockets. And to think about, even in Escondido, there are those two teachers who have been trying to fight against the law that protects teachers from outing students, right? There's a current law that says if you know your student is trans, gay, etc., whatever, non-binary,
Mhm.
you have protections. You do not need to out them. You do not need to tell their
Yes.
parents. These two idiots in Escondido are trying to fight against that, to say no, we want to be able to out our students, blah blah blah. Parents deserve to know, etc. Religious freedom, freedom of speech, whatever bullshit they're trying to argue. And it is one of those things where it's so unfortunate. These kids are tapped in to who they truly are and know who they truly are and haven't let society dictate to them who they need to be. And so they're at least tuned into their true selves. And then to have all this fear surrounding it, uh, I have to dead name my student because I don't want to have issues with their parent
Hmm.
and I don't want them to be put in harm's way at home.
Yeah.
It's still a reality in 2026. It's mind blowing.
Which is insane. And I try so hard, like, even when parent says dead name this, dead name that, like, I try so hard just, like, not to say their dead name or the pronouns that they don't use
Mm,
because, like, my conscience just eats at me. But sometimes I've seen their little, like, why aren't you saying their name?
yeah.
This is weird conversation. Why are you acting this way? So sometimes, in order to be a little incognito, I will unfortunately do that if I feel like it's necessary to protect the student. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which
You'll have to
sucks.
I couldn't imagine because I've thankfully I was never in that situation. I couldn't imagine how stressful and uncomfortable of a situation that is to be put in and to be in. And also thinking, well, maybe with all these kids, you just need to come up with neutral nicknames for all of them. Oh, you mean beanbag? Oh yeah, beanbags over there. You know?
It's amazing that you even said that because the kids are outsmarting us. Like they have already thought of that. They have already thought of, oh, this is the name that I'm going to use for right now. I'm going to just tell my parents, oh, that's a nickname that they've come up with for me.
Yeah,
And that way we don't dead name the student. Everyone uses the same name except for the parents because the parents are like, that's the name that I gave my child. I'm going to use that name.
right.
But they hear the new name and they're not thrown off.
Right. Because it's
So
some
they're
silly little thing.
yes, 100%. And they're smart for that. Like honestly good for them. They have figured out a way to protect themselves in a way that's even better than we could ever do, you know? And then there's situations sort of like segueing into the next thing. There are even situations that have nothing to do with gender that have caused issues because people are seeing like gender in places that gender doesn't exist. Like for example, I
Mm.
have a student who is completely female identifying, uses she her pronouns, assigned female at birth, like she's a girl. She's happy being a girl, right? She has a very deep voice.
Mm.
So in I don't know how familiar you are with like music or like voice parts or stuff like that, but just for
Ish.
everybody who doesn't
Yeah,
know,
please. Yeah.
from top to bottom, like highest voice to lowest voice, we have four general big categories that we'll put people into, and that's sopranos, altos, tenors, and basses.
Okay.
Sopranos being the highest voice and altos being the second highest normally are sung by assigned female at birth voices.
Okay.
So when people say the girls need to sing here, normally they're referring to sopranos and altos. Tenors and basses are normally the terms that you would use for a changed male voice, like after puberty, right?
Okay.
So tenor being the highest of those and bass being the lowest.
Okay.
Since this girl has such a low voice, we have her singing with the tenors because that's where her voice like sits most comfortably. She
Yeah.
tries to get into like this higher range and she's like, it hurts. I don't like it. It hurts. I can't go that high. And she can comfortably hit all of these super low notes that all the boys can, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So we put her in the tenor section and there's so many like weird looks every single time of like,
Mm.
why is that girl singing with the guys?
Oh my gosh.
But it's like it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with gender. You're putting
Right.
gender in a place that it like doesn't even
Right.
belong, you know?
Right.
This has to do with literally her vocal anatomy
Wow. Yeah.
and
Voices,
how
people, voices.
yes, and that is the most comfortable part for her. And like that's where she belongs in the choir and she's comfortable. Why can't everyone else be comfortable with it? Like I don't understand that. And that's kind of like the
Amazing.
bigger issue that I was talking about in the questionnaire is like there are so many little things like that that I could go on and on and on and on and on
Mm.
about in so many different places that like it's just so unnecessary.
Right. And even having a deeper voice where she is singing with the tenors, then people's brains start churning. What? Is she gay? What? Is she transitioning? Is she wanting to be a boy? And it's like, it's her voice.
Yes,
It
she's
is her voice.
very comfortable being a girl.
Yeah.
And you know what? One day, if she decides that's not the case, I guarantee you that's not because she's singing in the tenor section.
Yeah, exactly.
Singing in the tenor section is not making her trans or making her gay, you know?
Oh my goodness.
If
Yeah.
that were the case, I'm a bass. I should be the most macho man that there is on the planet, but look at me. Like I don't get it.
Yeah. All these little unspoken rules and yeah, like we're talking about just this very narrow set of people, set of minds who molded, sounds like the whole music education, musicals, etc., music world.
Yeah.
Barf.
Yeah. There's so much to fix. And I feel like
Mm,
that's where I, as a teacher, am really struggling is that I want to fix everything. I want to make those students feel comfortable in their own
mm,
bodies and in their
hmm.
own voices.
Yeah.
And that is the one thing that I do envy about band is that it is primarily about the thing that you're holding, you know?
Mm, yeah.
It doesn't matter necessarily who the player is as long as they put in practice time and they're good on their instrument, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Your voice is so personal, and especially because we have words and we get to play characters, and those characters even have gender, and you might be singing for a character that is your voice part but isn't your gender, or
Mm,
is your gender but isn't your voice part. It gets so like the
mm.
weeds, there is so much to go through, and it drives me insane. And it is simultaneously inspiring to go look at all of the work that we can do to make this better, and draining to go, there is so much fucking work to do.
Yes, 100%. And you can take that, what you are dealing with within music education, and amplify it to the whole of education in California, in the country, probably the world. But it's
Yes.
it's insane because there is so much that needs changing. And then
Absolutely.
and then it's exhausting to think about everything that needs to happen in order
Yeah.
for change to happen. Yeah.
There's a lot that needs to happen. It's jarring that we have come so far and not more has changed,
Right. It's
you know?
true. It's true. I think for the most part, people are so resistant to change, right? Everyone's just stuck on their little hamster wheels and you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to be on this wheel anymore. But how do I get off of the wheel? And once I'm off the wheel, what do I do then? I only know this fucking wheel.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that I see that in so many choir directors and just directors in general that have been doing the same thing for 20 years like I was saying, and
Yeah.
they get in these habits of like, well, that's the way I've always done things. And oh my God, like for example, naming of choirs. So a lot of times groups will be called like, at least at a public school, right? There will be like men's ensemble,
Oh,
women's ensemble, you
yep.
know?
Yep.
And it has, at least for the progressive choir teachers or the teachers who understand that singers are more than the gender that they are,
Mhm.
there has been a push to change women's ensemble to like treble ensemble because that explains like
Oh,
the range that they're all singing in.
okay.
And that also is inclusive to like trans kids, right? Or
Yeah.
even people like a boy who might just have a super, super high voice. Another
Yeah.
little tangent, there was a kid that I had at the middle school who now is at the high school that I teach at. He was singing alto until earlier this year, and he's a sophomore.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like that's how voices work.
Yeah.
Like it has nothing to do with him not wanting to be a boy or he's not trans. That's just his voice.
Right.
So he would probably do better in a treble ensemble than a bass ensemble.
Yeah.
Now his voice has dropped a little bit. He
Mm.
probably belongs in a bass ensemble, but that wasn't always the case. And sometimes it's really disheartening for a kid when they're like, well, I'm supposed to be here, but my voice is more like that, but my gender is over here. Like, what am
Mm.
I supposed to do? That's really confusing, you
Very
know?
confusing. Yeah, especially since people, our society makes everything so gendered.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't really
So,
fit there. We want you back over there, but your voice doesn't fit there.
hmm.
Yeah. Tricky.
Yeah.
I love musical theater. For a time being, I would have season tickets, all that, right? But I was thinking about Shrek the musical because I don't know too much about it, but I would
Yeah.
think Shrek the musical would be a good production that's not gendered, right?
For the most part, yeah, there are a lot of roles that like anybody can kind of be anything, you know?
Right?
And that's like the point of the show.
Okay, okay.
100%.
Right on. I was thinking about it. I was trying to think, what musical have I seen in my life where they could get away with not having it gendered?
Yeah, we did a production of a musical called Wonderland at the high school that I teach at.
Okay.
Um, it was a very male identifying role heavy show.
Hmm.
And I remember the director that I was working for, he was like, I would love to do this show. We're not gonna do it unless you give us permission to gender bend a lot of the roles. So
Mm.
him even like advocating for the students that he had and going like, we need to do something that's more gender inclusive. And
Yeah.
that might not even just be for the trans kids. That's just because like primarily in the arts, there's not a whole lot of boys or male identifying people. It's very female identifying
Mm.
heavy a lot of the time.
Hmm.
So there aren't a lot of boys to fill those roles, you know?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
we purposefully did a show that like gave us permission to gender bend some stuff and it was fucking awesome and they killed it, you know?
Oh, that's so exciting. That's good. Good for you all.
Yeah.
Hmm. See? It can be done
It absolutely can be done. It just
with
needs
support.
to be thought about more. And I think people want to do more stuff like that. They just don't think about it, you know?
Right, yeah. Well, in your questionnaire, you shared that you were never the macho man that the singing parts required you to be in school. But now you're in a position to change that experience for your students, which is so powerful. How has that younger version of you shaped the way you design opportunities for your students today?
I definitely try to make every opportunity as much as humanly possible based on what the opportunity needs. So, for example, if a solo needs a person to be able to sing in this range, I will open auditions for that solo and go, anybody who can sing it in this range is open to audition, you know?
Nice. Yeah.
Even if it says in the sheet music, woman or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, if you are capable of doing that, please go for it. And there were so many times that I, in high school and even in college, sometimes like wanted to go for these roles that I knew weren't right for me because I didn't fit that sort of box that they were looking for, you know?
Mm, yeah.
And even at my high school, like a lot of the musicals that we did were centered around this like big macho energy, mask presenting lead character, you know?
Hmm.
And not to toot my own horn, but I knew I was pretty fucking good in high school. Like I wasn't the best, but I was decent.
Hmm.
And I just knew that I wasn't cast in these things because I didn't fit that archetype, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
now, as an adult, obviously I've gotten a lot better, but I'm now being casted in all of these different roles that I never would have seen myself in because people are starting to be more okay with, well, it doesn't matter that you fit that certain archetype. We're not trying to cast it that way anyway. That's kind of old and boring and been done before. We're trying to do something a little bit different, you know?
Yeah.
So it is really important for me to keep doing musicals like Wonderland, where we can give
Mm.
more students opportunities where you don't have to be a boy to sing this role. You just have to be able to sing the notes. And if you can sing the notes and do it better than all of the other people that we were considering, then like you got the part, dude, you know?
I'm curious. I love that, hearing that. I'm curious. Are some of these roles, though, say romantic counterparts? So right, so I'm wondering how that works. And then, the community outcry. Oh, they're putting on a gay production because the two leads are female or male
Hmm.
or whatever it may be. How does that work?
That is a huge topic of discussion right now. Is
Mm,
that it is just starting to be experimented with a little bit
okay.
of like having the mainstream musical for the school, at least in the area that I'm in, like have it feature queer characters. So we did a
Okay.
musical last year that the main storyline was not a queer storyline, but there was a subplot of like a queer storyline within it that was like
Mm.
oh, we're just gonna have this one little scene and like, oh, it's no big deal. And they didn't have to kiss or like do anything. It was just like them being all cutesy and like flirting with each other on stage, and like it was super wholesome and innocent. And there is a want to include more queer stories within the things that we're teaching our students in a casual way. Like that's not the point of this story, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um Although I have a want to tell queer stories that like no, that is the damn point of the story. The point is that they're queer and like that's
Right.
okay, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah.
It is still very that is something that we have to think about a lot still of like okay,
Mm,
if we cast that person then we can't cast this person, but that person
mm.
was the best person for the role, but we really need this person in this role, so sadly we can't give it to that person. We got to give it to someone else, you know,
Wow. Right, right.
which sucks so bad. Like in a perfect world we would just give everyone the part that we feel like fits them best, you know.
Right. And who's the best for the role? Yeah, like you were saying.
and and who's the best for the role. And
Yeah.
we have been fortunate enough to have students who are just team players and like ready for anything and just want to contribute to making the magic of theater or singing together, you know, and they just take one for the team. Obviously not in a way that's like making them uncomfortable or making them like deny their identity or deny who they are, but I can see some of them go like, I understand that the world isn't ready for that yet.
Okay.
And
Very
that's
mature.
so, it is mature. And it kind of pains me a little bit to go like, you know, I had to make some of those same choices. And even though now I'm in the position of power that I get to change things, it does suck feeling like, well, even though I want to change things, I feel like I can't. I
Right.
feel like I'm going to get pushback. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm going to be disciplined if I do this thing that shouldn't be frowned upon, but it is, you know?
Yeah, because I was wondering, I know you mentioned that you've been writing your own material or writing your
Mhm.
own musicals. And so I was wondering, are these musicals that would be able to be put on at the high school you teach at or
I
work at?
I have a want for that someday. I have struggled to figure out what would be sort of mature enough for a high school, but also not obviously so mature that like it shouldn't be put on by students.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Okay.
but like how to make being queer uninteresting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I want to see a musical done by high schoolers so badly where being queer is the least important part of the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really want to write something like that, but that also feels like a lot of pressure to try to create the change that you want to see in the material setting, you know? Because I've been so
Yes.
used to like getting material and going, that was written by some old dead white guy. Let's cross out all of these labels that they're using and like
Mm,
make it ours, make it contemporary, make it modern. It feels really scary to then go, okay, well, I see where all the issues are. How do I then synthesize that into what I'm writing, you know?
I totally understand that. I can see you doing that. You have the rest of your life to work on it. Yeah.
It
No,
is a big want that I have.
I was going to say no pressure. No
Yeah.
pressure. No pressure. No timeline.
No
And
timeline.
I think that's the kicker is to write something so mundane, right?
Hmm.
So basic, but it's gay. But it's like, and, and it's just a
The reason I
story.
was, yeah, the reason that I was even bringing up like trying to write something that's like that perfect maturity is that like in my opinion, I feel like some of the stories that like these high schoolers read are not
Yeah,
appropriate.
I 100% agree with you.
It is not okay for them to be reading some of these books or like experiencing some of the things that they are just taught in like an everyday normal class.
Yeah, it's
So
wild.
that's why I'm like, obviously, we need to make it mature enough that it is stimulating to them and like appropriate like in the academic context, but obviously not so mature that it's like pushing that boundary. There's so many materials though that are within this not okay boundary that are just accepted,
Yep,
but it's because it's between straight people.
exactly. Yep.
And if I were to present a story that were to live in this category of nobody should question whether this is okay or not, this is perfectly okay. There are no bad words, there's no sex, there's no anything. Like it's perfectly a normal, clean storyline. They just happen to be queer.
Yeah.
I am afraid of writing something like that and receiving pushback when I've put so much hard work and
Mm.
everything into it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And people would be going to the school board, I'm sure,
Yeah.
having not really read the whole thing or know the whole story. And then this kind of smut and trash should not be, this production cannot happen at our school. And yeah, I could totally see it happening. I 100, you have a very valid concern. It, I think that it would be extremely rare and like shocking if no one complained about your
Yeah.
piece,
Yeah,
you know?
honestly. Especially where like the area that I'm in. Like maybe
Yeah.
if I was in like the heart of LA,
Yeah.
we could get away with something like that, but
Right.
that's not where I'm at.
Right. Or San Francisco,
Yeah, somewhere where like
Oakland.
people are like, "Hell yeah, let's put on that musical,"
Yeah.
you know?
And yours won't even be the first. Are you kidding? That other teacher already did
Literally.
one a few years
We would do
ago.
that for years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I understand it. Your concern's valid. But I mean, say you are working on it for 20 years, and hopefully in 20 years we won't be in the same situation.
Hopefully, God.
Yeah, goodness
Uh,
gracious. I wonder. Hey, props to you. You are very special because I've actually talked with quite a few other music teachers to the point where I even asked myself, oh, gee, do I want to have, not that I've done interviews with all of them, but do I want to have another music teacher? Queer educators are in the arts, right?
yes. Yes.
And which is a perfect place for queer educators. But none of them have ever mentioned how gendered music education is. And I was like, how are we not talking about this? We
Yeah.
haven't talked about this.
It is everywhere. It is everywhere. I feel like I can't get away from it everywhere I go, you know?
Yeah, it's so deep. It's just embedded.
Yes. And like
Yeah.
it takes the everyday things of like saying, sopranos and altos, can you please stand? Instead of, ladies, can you please stand? It's like those
Mm,
tiny, tiny things of like getting it in your everyday body. Like it
yeah.
starts there. And
Yeah.
there's so much other shit that we got to take care of also, like
Right.
obviously, as I was
Right.
talking about, but it has to start somewhere. And if
Mm,
I were to encourage any music teacher who's listening, it's got to start with you, you know, of like showing up
definitely.
every day and being the teacher that you wish that you had.
Definitely. And that goes for all teachers everywhere because I can't tell you how many school sites I'm at as I'm going around subbing. And it's like nails on a chalkboard to me when I hear the teachers, girls and boys, girls
Mm-hmm.
and boys. And I'm like, what year are we in, people?
Literally.
What year are we in? Evolve. Evolve. Oh my gosh, it's nails on a chalkboard to me. So it happens, and these kids are learning it at 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts just grooving, making
Yep.
the grooves in the brain.
Yep.
By the time they
Scary.
get to high school, music education or musical theater class, you're there and everything's so fucking gendered still. And
I
it's like,
know.
oh,
Still.
yawn,
Still.
yawn. Yeah. It's a lot. Well, AJ, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
You know, I sincerely thank you for giving me this opportunity. I feel like this has been like the soapbox that I've been standing on for so long. And like every once in a while, when I get the opportunity to share it with maybe even one of the teachers that I work for, who, by the way, all the teachers that I work for are the loveliest humans and I love working for them. But even people with the best intentions, like slip up and like make
Mm,
mistakes as the straight people that they are,
mm, yeah.
of like they don't think about this kind of thing every day when it doesn't impact them all the time. Um, so I'm just thankful that I have the opportunity to share this because it's been something that's been weighing on my mind for a very, very, very long time. And I really have a passion for wanting to make it different, you know?
Yeah. And I see that you will do that.
We're
Yeah.
gonna try.
Slow and steady.
Yeah,
Slow and
100%.
steady. Chip, 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 chip away at the iceberg.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, do you want to share with everyone what gay thing or things you've been doing lately?
I would love to share what gay things I've been doing recently. So I recently have been auditioning for a production of a musical called Falsettos, which if you
Mm.
don't know it, it is such a beautifully tragic musical. And I just received a callback for it yesterday for this character called Whizzer. And it would be the first time that I've ever played a gay character on stage. So I am
What?
very excited. And honestly, even if I don't get the role, I don't even care. Just like studying this musical and learning his songs and stuff like that, it's like filling my little gay heart. And
Mm.
there hasn't been something like this since I was a high schooler and I was like listening to Rent for the first time, you know?
Mm. Yeah.
So this is just like reinvigorating that like performer side of myself and also like the gay part of myself that like the two together is just making me so happy. There are so many roles that I sing for where I have to play like the straight guy
Yeah.
and being able to fully sing this like authentically is
Mm.
so fucking surreal and cool and I love it.
I have a feeling you're going to be giving me an update soon that you got the part.
I really hope that that's a reality because no one ever does this show. It's just like one of those shows that's like, for all intents and purposes, an opera, just like
Oh,
in the musical theater style. Like it's
okay.
2.5 hours of music. It's long.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is long.
There are like three scenes in the whole show. The rest of it's music, which for me as a music nerd
Oh,
is cool.
yeah.
But no one ever does it because it's really, really hard, you know?
Yeah.
So I sincerely hope that I get it just because I don't know if I'll get another opportunity in the near future to do this role again, you know? So I'm just
Yeah.
honored to be called back. I'm excited that I get to sing his song.
Ooh, okay. Fingers crossed for you. Let's all cross our fingers for AJ.
Please, 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 please.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You're invited back anytime. Love to chat with you some more.
I
And
appreciate that.
yeah. All right. You want to dance us out with me?
Let's do it.